Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive under our Climate Awareness series. This series is brought to you by Climate Action Skills, an online climate change academy based right here in Pakistan.
That's right.
And today we're going to be doing a deep dive into carbon sinks.
Yes.
So we know they're important in combating climate change, but today we're going to look at exactly how important are they?
Well, you know what I think is so fascinating about carbon sinks is that they're not some far-off abstract concept.
Right.
I mean, they're literally all around us.
Yeah.
We're talking oceans, we're talking forests, we're talking even the soil beneath our feet.
Yeah.
And the way they work, it's almost like nature's own, carbon capture and storage technology. They absorb more carbon dioxide from the atmosphere than they release.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I
Yeah.
think it's easy to get overwhelmed by, the scale of climate change.
Absolutely.
But when you think about it that way, that nature kind of has these built-in mechanisms to absorb carbon dioxide,
Yeah.
it does give you a little bit of hope.
It does, and the scale of some of these sinks is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
I mean, take the oceans, for example. They're the undisputed heavyweight champions of carbon absorption.
Oh.
They hold about 50 times more carbon than the atmosphere.
50 times. How does that even work? Is it just like the water itself absorbing the CO2?
It's a bit more complex than that. You
Wow.
see, it's the entire marine ecosystem working together.
Okay.
So you've got tiny plant-like organisms called phytoplankton.
Right.
You've got seaweed. You've got even shellfish.
Wow.
They all absorb CO2 during photosynthesis or to build their shells and skeletons.
Oh, wow.
And then as they die and decompose, a lot of that carbon gets transported down to the deep ocean.
Okay.
And it's effectively locked away.
So it's like a giant carbon conveyor belt operating beneath the waves.
Yeah, exactly. It
Yeah.
is. And the term blue carbon is often used to describe this carbon captured by marine ecosystems.
Okay.
And protecting these coastal and ocean ecosystems is absolutely crucial, not just for biodiversity,
Yeah.
but for their immense carbon storing potential.
That makes sense.
Oh.
Yeah. So we've talked about the ocean. That's a huge carbon sink. What about on land? We hear a lot about forests
Yeah,
being important carbon sinks. How does that work?
absolutely. Forests are like the lungs of our planet.
Okay.
And trees, through the process of photosynthesis,
Right.
absorb CO2 and convert it into wood, leaves, and roots,
Yeah.
storing vast amounts of carbon.
And I remember reading about how even the soil itself can play a major role.
Precisely. Soil is a massive carbon reservoir,
Okay.
and certain types of ecosystems are particularly good at storing carbon.
Okay.
Think about wetlands, peat bogs.
Right.
These waterlogged areas have low oxygen levels, which slows down decomposition.
Okay.
This means that plant matter kind of accumulates over time,
Yeah.
forming peat,
Right.
locking away carbon for centuries.
So even these areas that we think of as like unproductive landscapes are actually like really valuable carbon vaults.
Right.
It makes you realize how complex nature is, and every element has its own role to play.
And even something as simple as the layer of fallen leaves
Yeah.
and twigs on the forest floor
Right.
contributes to carbon storage.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that everything is interconnected.
So we've established that these natural systems are pretty amazing
Yes.
at absorbing carbon. But I think we all know that there's a bit of a problem here.
Yes, there is.
Human activities are seriously messing with this delicate balance,
That's right.
aren't they?
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality. You see, we're releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere at an unprecedented rate
Okay.
through burning fossil fuels,
Right.
deforestation, and unsustainable land management practices.
Okay.
Essentially, we're overwhelming the system,
Right.
releasing more carbon than these natural sinks can handle.
And all that excess carbon dioxide in the atmosphere
Right,
leads to global warming and all the associated climate change impacts we're seeing.
right.
It's a bit of a sobering thought.
It is.
And it highlights how our actions have consequences far beyond what we might immediately see.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, climate change itself
Yeah.
is damaging these very carbon sinks.
Oh, wow.
That could help us mitigate the problem.
Okay.
So you've got this dangerous feedback loop.
Right.
For example, deforestation not only releases the carbon stored in trees, but also reduces the planet's overall capacity to absorb more in the future.
Right.
Similarly, as the oceans warm, they become less effective
Okay.
at absorbing CO2.
So it's almost like we're shooting ourselves in the foot,
Right.
weakening our natural defenses against climate change at the very moment we need them the most.
Exactly.
But is there any hope? I mean, what can we do to turn this situation around?
There is hope, and it lies in recognizing the power of nature.
Okay.
Protecting and restoring these natural carbon sinks is absolutely crucial.
Okay.
We need to safeguard existing forests,
Right.
promote sustainable forestry practices, and avoid deforestation at all costs.
And what about those amazing peatlands that we talked about?
Yeah, absolutely. Protecting peatlands is vital.
Yeah.
They store vast amounts of carbon, and damaging them releases this carbon back into the atmosphere.
Right.
But restoring degraded peatlands can also be a powerful tool for sequestering carbon.
So it's not just about like preventing further damage, but it's also actively working to repair the damage we've already done.
Absolutely.
So it sounds like we need to work with nature,
Yes.
not against it, to stabilize our climate.
Exactly. Focusing on reducing emissions is vital.
Yeah.
But we also need to enhance nature's ability to absorb and store carbon.
Okay.
This means investing in nature-based solutions like reforestation,
Right.
restoring wetlands, and promoting sustainable land management practices.
So as we wrap up this deep dive on carbon sinks,
Yes,
I mean, it really does leave us with a challenge,
it does.
doesn't it? Like, these natural carbon sinks are so powerful.
Powerful, yeah.
What innovative approaches can you, our listener, envision for enhancing their ability to combat climate change?
That's a good question.
It is a question worth pondering.
It is.
Maybe you'll come up with the next big climate solution.
You never know.
All right, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.